Around the 10th grade, I started to transition into my faith, and I started to ask really large, big questions like, what is the purpose of my life? What is the purpose of me being in this world itself, and my identity? On top of that, as a high schooler, of course, I had no idea what I wanted to become, not even close. Nothing really stood out to me. I knew I liked English, and I knew that I had a fairly good knack for tutoring, but that was about it. And so I resigned and said I'd go into law, study law later on, and make my parents happy. But it wasn't something that really called my heart. And around the same time, I had the opportunity to serve at a after-school program in the city of Philadelphia and help tutor elementary students once a week for an entire year. And that was a really great experience. I came in with the experience with no understanding of education, no idea what the inner city schools were like or anything like that. And the first thing I noticed was how different their education was. What I was learning at their age was far more advanced than they were with anything that they were dealing with. For example, there was a 4th grader there who at the 4th grade still didn't know how to read at any level. Obviously had some sort of learning disability that wasn't addressed at his school, and that was really disheartening. And I learned that their classrooms are usually filled with 35 or more students, that teachers just yell at the students all day. And being a teacher or learning how to be a teacher now, I know how challenging that can be. But also the families that they were from. Some of them were very loving, but others, I know one of the students now recently, her father passed away, and that was really hard, which I found so hardening. And also economic factors such as being in the city, there was very limited resources for them, and along with that, access to quality food, and which led to a lot of the health problems that the students were having. And at that age of 11 and 10, having to worry about heart issues was so shocking and so unfair. And so that was really painful to hear. And these kids were so wonderful and so bright and so funny and so sassy. I love them. They knew how to really communicate through the heart with me and with the other volunteers that were there. I remember one student, she would always say, "She's mine, she's my favorite." And she would sit me down next to her and it's like, "You're gonna help me read today." And after that, we would go on to even more things, and she'd be excited. "Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much more than everyone else." And I was so excited for her, and she would bring A's. She would show me her A's every week, and I was so proud of her. She was so great. And the scariest part was that the education that she was receiving at that level was still not enough to compete on a larger scale. That these students had these wonderful dreams of being teachers, of doctors, of going to faraway places, of learning amazing things, of helping their families, helping the world, and they were so limited by the situation that they were just born in. An accident of circumstance, an accident of fate, and it was awful. And I realized then that this was an injustice. And during that time, I began to learn that it wasn't just like the educational system that created this, but the policy around it, the schools, the community, the neighborhood, everything was aligned. Even prison systems, everything is connected to create this community, this society who says no to these students. And so I entered, I applied to college as an education major, and through that I was able to learn a lot more. It opened my eyes to the possibility of this is possible. We can change. Everything can be changed. Everything we can fight for these children's futures, and we can make a difference in these lives.